The Prophet of Islam, a villain or a hero? Sahil Sharifdin Bhat.
Hate is short-lived and love is everlasting. Hate begets hate and love begets love. People share only what they possess. Frogs cannot sing and nightingales cannot croak. Feel proud if you are among lovers and curse your fate if you are among haters. Hate is self-annihilating and love conquers all. By the way, it is not the common people who hate your religion or my religion or burn your holy book or my holy book or abuse your God or my God or insult your prophet or my prophet. It is the frustrated and depressed religious missionaries in your religion or my religion who foolishly try to change the world or gain the cheap fame for themselves overnight. They are the enemies of the humanity. Hence, they are your enemies and my enemies. All the religions and all the religious leaders that make their followers harmful, hateful, and violent in the name of religion are absolutely false. If your religion or your sect does not make you loving, peaceful, patient, and kind, it is false and you must change it immediately.
Which person, thing, nation, or religion wants to get weaker with the passage of time? Islam is not hypocrisy. Islam is truth. It wants to get better with every passing day, and it says it boldly to the face of cowards, hypocrites, traitors, and haters. Anyways, Islam is not for wild animals that enjoy injustice, anarchy, aggression, nudity, incest, debauchery, dirt, dung, and filth. Islam is for the people who love justice, peace, unity, kindness, fraternity, humanity, truth, and order. Islam is neither a helpless sheep nor a cruel lion. It is a just judge that rewards the good and punishes the evil. Islam is the religion that makes sense to a scientific, philosophic, logical, and reasoning mind, and the Prophet of Islam, PBUH, impresses the world's best geniuses.
Thomas Carlyle has written, "If Islam was a false religion, it will not stand this long." Alphonse de Lamartine has written in his bestseller, "If greatness of purpose, smallness of means, and astounding results are the three criteria of human genius, who could dare to compare any great man in modern history with Mohammed?" William Muir has it, "The magnanimity with which Mohammed treated a people of Mecca, who had so long hated and rejected him, is worthy of all admiration." Pringle Kennedy has said, "He, Mohammed PBUH, is the supreme instance of what can be done by one man." Michael H. Hart writes, "My choice of Mohammed to lead the list of the world's most influential persons may surprise some readers and may be questioned by others, but he is the supreme instance of what can be done by one man. He was the only man in history who was supremely successful on both the religious and secular levels." Who is the Prophet Mohammed, PBUH, and why is he hated by the foolish and admired by the wise? How badly has he harmed the humanity, or how greatly has he benefited it? Is he still worth following? Have his teachings grown outdated? Let's analyze all these questions objectively here. A beautiful kid was born to a young widow probably on 29th of August, 570 CE, and he was named Mohammed, the Praised One. Her husband had passed away about 6 months before the birth of the beautiful kid. When the kid, Mohammed, PBUH, was just 8 days old, he was entrusted to a village lady named Halima Sodia for paid babysitting according to the custom of the town, and she nursed him for 6 years at her own home. When the little Mohammed, PBUH, was returned to his biological mother, Amina bint Wahab, the widow mother and the orphan son enjoyed each other's companionship for a few weeks, and then the mother departed this mortal abode, leaving her only orphan son in the care of his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, and a loyal slave girl, Baraka. The grandfather expired 2 years later in 578 CE, and the responsibility of raising up the little Mohammed, PBUH, fell on the shoulders of Abu Talib, a paternal uncle of Mohammed, PBUH. Abu Talib was a poor man and had a large family to support. He lived in a dilapidated house, and his family members suffered often from starvation. Therefore, the little Mohammed, PBUH, was not taught reading and writing. Instead, he was sent to work as a shepherd. When he was 12 years old, he accompanied his poor uncle, Abu Talib, to Syria on a trade journey. He continued going on such trade journeys for his livelihood, and when his fellow merchants observed his behavior and principles, they named him Al-Amin, the trustworthy. Impressed by his fame and character, a wealthy merchant of Mecca named Khadija employed him and later married him. She was 40 and he was just 25 years old at the time of their marriage. The duo begot 4 daughters and 2 sons. As he neared the age of 40, he started having unusual dreams and hearing mysterious voices. Consequently, he retired to a cave located outside Mecca. He kept often meditating in it until he received the first verses of the Holy Quran there. The experience frightened him first, but he learned gradually and slowly that he was the last messenger of God and he had an exceptional mission to fulfill. He started propagating the teachings he received almost daily from God, and the people began to hate him and torment him. His message is simple and lucid. He did not claim
It was. It was.
His message is simple and lucid.
Was a challenge to convince the people of that time to be kind and just, to manumit slaves, not to bury the female kids alive, to give rights to women, not to murder, not to practice adultery, not to circumambulate the holy Kaaba naked, not to worship stones, etc. He was assaulted frequently for propagating such novel teachings. His early followers were martyred brutally. He was coerced to flee to the city of Medina, which was miles away from his hometown. It took him full 22 years to convince his people that he was truly the last messenger of God sent to them to bring them out of the depths of ignorance and to enlighten them with the divine guidance and knowledge. Some understood him and began to respect him. Alas, some hate and abuse him till date.
His message is simple and lucid. He did not claim to be God or an equal of God or a superhuman. He always stated that he was a common man like other common people, but he has been assigned the job of conveying the divine guidance to people. He preferred to live in a house of mud when he could live in a palace of gold. He patched his clothes, swept his house, milked his goats, looked after his camels, and mended his shoes with his own hands. His job was to humanize the evil people. He advised them to shun infanticide, incest, sodomy, intoxicants, sorcery, self-mutilation, murdering, cheating, oppressing, exploiting, stealing, lying, worshipping anyone other than the creator of the universe, and shun all other evil things. For the same teachings, he was hated then by some people and he is hated now by some people. There are thousands of books, thousands of movies, thousands of websites, thousands of accounts on the social media, and thousands of TV and YouTube channels that vilify him and spread the hate against his followers and against his teachings, which are collectively known as Islam. The haters of the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, claim that he was an extremist and his religion, Islam, promotes violence and asks its followers to do jihad and kill non-Muslims. That is not true at all. He and his true followers are peaceful and peace-loving. Nevertheless, all communities and religions have black sheep, and Islam is not an exception. Islam is, undoubtedly, a religion of peace and justice. But remember, peace and justice are established by helping the weak and by restraining the aggressor, and Islam approves of both the ways. It does not promote violence, but it does not teach its followers to be cowards and turn a blind eye to violence, injustice, aggression, and oppression. It clearly instructs them to fight in the way of God those who fight against you, but do not exceed the limits. Surely God does not like those who exceed the limits. Quran 02:190. The message of Islam is to fight back the bad people, and when they come to their senses and give up doing evil things, be friendly, gentle and kind to them. Islam is certainly unlike Christianity that teaches its followers to turn the other cheek. Islam prohibits killing innocents. It also prohibits dying timidly. It recommends people to live and let others live peacefully. Another allegation that the enemies of the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, make against him is that he was a pedophile because he married a young girl named Aisha. This allegation hurts us, Muslims, most. To tell you the truth, no Muslim or non-Muslim has pointed a finger at the moral character of the Holy Prophet, PBUH, before the 20th century. It is the modern lecherous haters who, when find no reason to malign the Holy Prophet, PBUH, come up with such false accusations. The honest people of the world know that the childhood, teenage, youth and old age of the Holy Prophet, PBUH, were immaculate, unstained and unsullied from any moral corruption. He was not lustful, sensual and libidinous at all. There came a time when he ruled almost the entire Arabian Peninsula, and he was hailed as the greatest hero from every corner of that region. Hundreds of beautiful women came to him and offered to marry him, but he was too shy to even look at them. In his later years, he was the most powerful man in his region. If he were a pedophile, who would stop him from practicing pedophilia? In that case, his enemies would also have more stories of his pedophilia to share, not just the story of Aisha. In fact, he did not marry any other woman as long as his first wife, Khadija, was alive. When she passed away and he was old, he married a few widows and Aisha purely for political, educational and religious reasons. He did not produce children with them. For instance, he married a daughter of his archenemy, Abu Sufyan, and a few months later he accepted Islam happily with all his army and supporters. He also married a daughter of his best friend, Umar, because she was a widow and many men had rejected her proposal of marriage to them. Likewise, he married Aisha when she was about 6 years old according to one report and 16 years old according to another report, only because she was sharp-witted and shrewd, and the Holy Prophet, PBUH, realized that she could benefit the religion of Islam greatly. His decision proved right, and Aisha is the only female narrator of hadith in the history of Islam, who narrated over 2,000 hadith. The Prophet, PBUH, and his teachings have changed the lives of the billions of people for good till date.
Who narrated over 2,000 hadith. She preserved almost the half of Islam with her narrations, and many a time she corrected the greatest male narrators of hadith in Islam like Abu Huraira and Abdullah ibn Umar. He was a prophet of God, and thus he could see the future with the permission of God. He saw that Aisha would benefit the religion of Islam, and so he married her. She too was happy to marry him. Her father and her other relatives were happy, and all the beautiful ladies of that area, seeing her marrying the Holy Prophet, PBUH, envied her. All are happy with this holy marriage except a few idiots of today. These idiots hate the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, only because he wanted the humans to behave like humans, not like wild animals. However, all friends and enemies of Islam agree that the Holy Prophet, PBUH, did not consummate his marriage with Aisha for 3 years after he married her. Which pedophile will wait that long? Why did he marry only her when thousands of girls of her age were waiting restlessly for him to marry them? He was the greatest hero of his nation. He did not need to chase any woman. The women prayed God to write him in their fate. None but a foolish person will label the Holy Prophet, PBUH, a pedophile. When his enemies fail to find faults with his infallible teachings and profoundly impressive personality, they make baseless allegations against him.
The Prophet, PBUH, and his teachings have changed the lives of the billions of people for good till date. Islam is the fastest growing religion in the West today. No wonder the greatest writers and intellectuals of every era have held him in high esteem. The Prophet of Islam, PBUH, has done countless favors to the humanity. His teachings transformed the world forever. He gave the best concept ever of God and connected the people directly with their Creator. He told them to pray to God directly without using priests, pundits, Maulvis etc. as intermediaries between God and them. Quran 02:186. He abolished slavery by teaching his followers that one of the greatest forms of worship is to free a slave. Quran 90:12-13. The Europe thought of banning slavery as late as the 19th century. He taught that killing female children or burying them alive is a heinous sin, and the perpetrators of this sin will burn in hellfire. He was the first hero ever who spoke against female infanticide. Quran 81:8-9. The cancer in the body of the global economic system is riba, usury, which makes the poor people poorer and the rich people richer, and the Prophet, PBUH, condemned it in the worst terms possible. A true Muslim gives zakat, charity, and abstains from riba to end the economic injustice in the world. Quran 04:161. The Prophet, PBUH, put the final nail in the coffin of racism when he taught that all humankind is from Adam and Eve. An Arab has no superiority over a non-Arab, nor a non-Arab has any superiority over an Arab. Also, a white has no superiority over a black, nor a black has any superiority over a white except by piety and good actions. Quran 49:13. Not only did he preach good things, but he also established the world's first welfare state in 622 CE based upon his teachings in Medina, and Jews, pagans, and Muslims lived together there as equal citizens in peace and harmony under his gentle leadership. The terrorists and the thugs of today fairly depict the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, as the biggest villain of the humanity, as if he killed 6 million
under his gentle leadership. The Article 25 of the Constitution of Medina states, "And the Jews of Banu Awf shall be considered as one community, Ummat, along with the believers, for the Jews their religion, and for the Muslims theirs, be one client or patron. But whoever does wrong or commits treachery brings evil only on himself and his household." He granted property rights, education rights, conjugal rights, business rights, and various other rights to women in the 7th century CE, whereas the Europeans were discussing until recently whether women have souls or not and whether they are humans or not to talk of granting them property rights. He was much ahead of his time. He indoctrinated among his devotees that gaining education is compulsory upon all of them and observing hygiene and cleanliness is the half of Islam. He advised the world to brush their teeth daily. On the contrary, bathing was officially banned in Europe until recently. Queen Isabella of Spain herself has confessed that she bathed only twice in her entire lifetime. The absence of personal hygiene caused the Black Death in Europe and killed about 200 million people. He taught his followers that killing an innocent human being is like killing the whole humankind. Quran 5:32. He spoke vehemently about the rights of animals and plants. He said that a Muslim woman was sent to hell only because she denied water to a cat. He said that whoever kills a sparrow or anything bigger or smaller than that without a just cause, God will hold him accountable on the day of judgment. He praised the founders of Christianity and Judaism and called upon the followers of all religions to ignore the differences and work on the similar points between their respective religions and Islam. Quran 3 hours 64 minutes. His aim was not to divide the humanity but to unite it completely. He urged his followers not to abuse or insult the gods that are worshipped by non-Muslims. Quran 06:108.
The terrorists and the thugs of today fairly depict the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH.
He gifted the world the legends like Al-Ghazali, Jabir ibn Hayyan, Muhammad bin Musa al-Khawarizmi, Abu Ali Sina, Avicenna, Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi, Allama Iqbal, Amir Khusru, Behzad, Ibn Battuta, Ibn al-Nafis, Ibn Arabi, Muhammad al-Shabani, Abu al-Qasim Muhammad, and thousands of others who revolutionized the fields of science, politics, literature, mathematics, art, music, poetry, and whatnot. He is, indeed, a hero of heroes. He is not a villain. He is the greatest hero that the humanity has ever produced. He is misquoted, misinterpreted, and misjudged mostly by the people who want to live like wild animals and abhor norms, principles, and moral laws which differentiate humans from wild animals.
The terrorists and the thugs of today unfairly depict the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, as the biggest villain of the humanity, as if he killed 6 million people by waging crusades in the Middle Ages. He did not enslave millions of Africans. He did not destabilize Africa and the Middle East to usurp the natural resources like gold, gas, oil, diamonds, iron, uranium, etc. He was not responsible for over 20 million deaths in World War I and over 80 million deaths in World War II. He did not murder 6 million Jews in Europe. He did not cause over 3 million deaths in the Vietnam War. He did not drop atom bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He did not butcher over 3 million innocent people in Iraq and Afghanistan to display his military power. He was not responsible for the mass rape of 2 million German women in World War II. They divert the attention of the world to the Prophet, PBUH, or his religion, lest the world should count the crimes which they commit on daily basis on the earth. Their courts award death penalties and life imprisonments to traitors, criminals, thugs, and others, but when Muslim courts punish any culprit, they begin to bark loud in the media and refer to Muslims as barbarians, backwards, uncivilized and terrorists. When the Prophet of Islam, PBUH, is insulted, they call it the freedom of speech. When they or their leaders are insulted, they grow wild and call it hate speech. Their hypocrisy has no limits. There is no need to mention them by names. All intellectuals know them well. To conclude, the famous British author H.G. Wells has made many derogatory remarks about the Prophet of Islam, PBUH, but he also confessed at last that even the sworn enemies of Islam have no choice but to accept the greatness of the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, in one way or the other. The Prophet, PBUH, has himself said that whoever believes in God and the Day of Judgment should speak what is good or observe silence. Therefore, hate the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, if you have done more favors to the humanity than he did, or respect him if you are a sincere, honest, respectable and thankful person. About the author. The
author lives at Lithapura Pulwama. His books are available on Amazon and Flipkart. He can be reached at sahilsharifdinenglish@gmail.com.